you guys. So welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. We're happy to have you. Today's video is going to be postpartum must-have items. These are going to be my postpartum essentials, like what I could not have gotten through postpartum without. Some of you will have different opinions. I'll explain to you all of the reasons for why. These are my postpartum must-haves. So I have a little list in here, so that's why I keep looking down. So the first thing that I have is the Peri bottle. Now listen, the hospital does give you a Peri bottle, but like it's kind of booty cheeks. I know you've heard this 1,000 times. If you watch TikTok, you've seen it 1,000 times, but the Freedom on Peri bottle, dude, you need this. It makes it so much easier if the angle is perfect. And I will say, when you're using the Peri bottle, I like warm water, like not too hot, not too cold, like it had to be the perfect temperature. It felt really good. It made peeing not burn. It also relieved itching. If you have stitches and stuff, it itches really bad when it heals. And so it relieved the itch for me as well. I think that they might make like some knockoffs that kind of do the same thing, but I really like the Freedom on Peri bottle. It's been great, or it was great for me. I'm not using it anymore. Okay, the next thing I have on the list is panty liners. For me, my bleeding was pretty heavy at the beginning, like obviously, but it kind of faded out really quickly, and it wasn't that bad for that long, and it definitely wasn't heavy enough for me to need diapers or like maxi pads. I had got these panty liners. You can also get like the extra long ones so that they cover more ground, because I was noticing, this is probably TMI, but it's a postpartum video, so who cares? I was noticing that with my bleeding, a lot of it wasn't like a period to where it was up at the front, if you will, but my stitches were more towards my butt, so they were in the back. So a lot of my bleeding was coming from back there. It's not that I was bleeding a lot, but those covered more ground, if that makes any sense. Panty liners were very essential to me because I fucking hate pads. The diapers, oh my god. Let's just go ahead and talk about that. So I had got these discreet, the Depends diapers, something or other, and honestly, like, they're really good. Like, they're a lot more comfortable than the hospital. I didn't even use what the hospital gave me. Like, I hated it. These were good for a while, but after probably a week, I started to get my own diaper rash, and I had got it on my belly, and it was unbelievably itchy. Like, it very quickly became my biggest problem. I did not care about my vagine trying to heal. Like, the diaper rash was fucking killing me. So that's kind of why I started doing like the pads and the panty liners and stuff, because the diaper just wasn't working for me. No matter what I did, that diaper rash wasn't going away. So I also have very sensitive skin. I can't wear band-aids or anything with adhesive because my skin is so sensitive, which is fun. But if you don't have issues with your skin, it's probably fine. I've like literally never heard anybody postpartum complain about getting a diaper rash from their adult diapers, but lucky me, I did. I consider it, think about it. There are alternatives if you don't want to use the diapers, because I didn't use them for most of my healing. What is next? Okay, so what was next on the list was pads and diapers. I also, like, for the other pads, I had just got regular pads. I'll open it. And these aren't even like, they're not heavy duty at all. Will it focus? There we go. They're not heavy duty at all. They're normal pads. That's what I used for my bleeding. The Tux cooling pads. If you're pregnant, you might have already started to experience the hemis. Yeah, they're pretty fun, right? Right? Don't you love them? So hemorrhoids, hard to avoid, especially once you give birth. And if you're postpartum, I'm sure you've got a couple of little buddies hanging out with you downstairs. So the Tux cooling pads, very, 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 very helpful for those. I luckily got to deal with my first hemorrhoid before I was ever pregnant, so these little bad boys have been in my life for a while now, and they're very helpful. There's also an ointment you can get. I've used Preparation H before. That also helps with hemorrhoids, but these were super, super nice when I was postpartum because they're so cold from being wet and whatnot. They're so cold that it felt so good. Like, I would literally, my setup would be, I'd get a pad, and I would take 3 of these Tux pads, and I would put them on the pad, and then sometimes I would use the Dermaplast that I'm gonna get into in a minute. But the cooling of this was so nice, and it was so relieving on the hemorrhoids, because hemorrhoids can be fucking painful. Definitely some Tux pads, or there's also other hemorrhoid cooling pads. The witch hazel really is what's important in it, which you can also put in the Peri bottle. You can get a bottle of just witch hazel, and you can mix that with the warm water in the Peri bottle, and that's also beneficial. I had a lot of people recommend that to me. What have we got here? Nipple shield. Okay, when we were still in the hospital, Bentley had a really hard time, like, not even a hard time latching, but he had a hard time staying latched, if that makes any sense. So like, maybe honestly, maybe that means he had a hard time latching, but he could latch on, but he would let go. And come to find out, months later, he has a lip tie, which is probably the entire issue with when he was teeny weeny trying to figure all that out. The lactation consultant had us get nipple shields because it helps with latching, it helps with pain. I was also having a lot of pain. So this is what they look like. I've had a lot of questions about it on TikTok. I've talked about it a lot on TikTok, but I'm trying to get it out. But these are the nipple shields. I used the Medela brand. Now something that I guess not a lot of people know is there are multiple different sizes. Just like how when you get a pump, there's different size like phalanges. I don't know how to say that word. There are different sizes, so make sure you get the right size. The typical size I think that the hospital gave was the 20 millimeter, and I had to get the 24 millimeter, and getting the 24 was like a game changer. It definitely decreased the pain a lot and made everything a lot easier. But look into that, contact a lactation consultant, and they can also help you with like sizing and stuff like that. The nipple shields were super helpful for us with getting him to learn his latch, and then also helping me with pain, because like I said, I had a lot of pain. And a lot of people always ask me about weaning them off of it and how you can do that. And so what I did for that was basically I would start him with the shield, and then once he kind of had his groove going and the milk had already let down, I would take the shield away and try to get him to relatch once my like nipple is already pulled out and all the juices are flowing. So I would try to get him to, you know, relatch without it, and a lot of times he did really well. Once he started to kind of get the hang of that, I would try starting without the shield. I would give him like 3 chances, and if he was getting super frustrated, obviously I would give him the shield and let him eat. Gradually he just started to do better and better without it, and so I would offer it less and less, and then eventually he just didn't need it. I will say that it did come with a little bit of personal sacrifice. Like for a little bit there, it still was very painful for me. But once we were officially off of the shield and he could latch and could eat without the shield, and it was just a matter of my pain, then it became that I had to teach him what is and isn't okay latch wise. So if he latched on and it hurt, take him off, unlatch him, wait a second, tell him no, latch him again, and it just helps him learn that whatever he did that time wasn't correct because he didn't get to continue eating. I don't know, that's what our pediatrician told us, and it really worked and helped. So now we get to breastfeed all the time, no pain, no latching issues, and he does a really good job. Those were very helpful, very essential. I know I just talked about nipple shields for like the longest time ever, but they seriously were one of the biggest lifesavers in the entire postpartum experience. What else have we got? Nipple cream. Okay, so I don't know for the life of me what I did with my nipple cream, but I'm pretty sure that it was like the Earth Butter Mama's nipple cream something. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna put a picture right here of the nipple cream that I used. But you can use a lot of nipple creams, nipple butters, but that's just another thing that can help with the pain of breastfeeding. Breastfeeding can come with lots of lovely quirks, such as cracked nipples, bleeding nipples, clogged milk ducts, mastitis, lots of fun things that can come from breastfeeding, right? So the nipple butter is very helpful for me. Like I said, I was having a lot of issues with nipple pain. Basically, anytime I would finish nursing, I would put some on and give my nipples that recovery time between each feeding, rather than them just like fighting for their life. I don't know. It seemed very helpful to me. I think that it's something that's worth having around in case you do end up needing it. So that's why I say that it's an essential. What else have we got? Dermaplast. Okay, this lovely little thing here, I did not have to buy. The hospital gave it to me. There it is. Okay, so this Dermaplast spray, I'm gonna say it's very helpful. It is. The hospital gave it to me. I used it in the hospital. I didn't use it like a whole lot at home, but I used it like when I really needed to. What I'm gonna say about it is that I used it whenever I was super itchy trying to heal. Okay, that's the only time I used it. I didn't use it for anything else. I only used it when I had this uncontrollable itch that I needed to deal with. What I'm gonna say is that for me, when I would spray this, it would burn really fucking bad for like no more than 30 seconds, but it burned. Like when I first would spray it, like it would fucking burn every time I used it. Every time I used it, it fucking burned. But it worked because I stopped itching for like a long time anytime I would use it. Do with that information what you will. I still recommend it because, I mean, listen, that itch fucking sucks. So I still recommend it, but there's my little disclaimer that it did burn for me, but like not worse than anything else. I don't know, whatever. Okay, loose clothing or a nursing nightgown. I'm gonna get my nursing nightgown to show you exactly what I wore. This is what I wore for literally like the first 2 weeks of postpartum. I'm not even kidding you, that's all I wore. And it was really nice because it's super like flowy and loose and stretchy, very comfortable. And then obviously it's button down, so it's really easy for nursing. I'm telling you, I literally lived in this thing. But aside from like a nursing nightgown or whatever you prefer for that, you definitely just want like loose, comfy clothing because you're not gonna want to wear anything tight. If you have a C-section, you're gonna have an incision that's trying to heal. You're not gonna want tight pants or whatever. Like, you're not gonna want to wear leggings or anything like that, or shorts with a tight elastic. So you definitely want lots of loose clothing, loose waistbands, loose t-shirts. But I just really liked this because it made nursing super easy. But not everybody wants to nurse or breastfeed, which is totally fine. So just any type of super comfy clothing you definitely want. The last couple things. One of my other essential items that I have decided on is this Hakka. A lot of people, I guess, don't know how to use it. I did not know how to use it at first either, but I've had a lot of my friends ask me like what the fuck to do with this thing. I'm just gonna explain that. I'm trying to fix this. I just messed it up and I'm trying to fix it. There we go. So this is a Hakka. This is the little plug stopper that you put in it just so that you don't spill milk. One of the things I was so confused on when I was pregnant and trying to prepare for everything is I did not know where to begin with breastfeeding, pumping, all of that stuff. I didn't know what I needed. Little me never got a pump, and then I went into labor and had the baby, and then I didn't have anything to get my milk out when my milk came in. The hospital gave me a manual pump and I used that when I needed to, like before I had got a pump, because I have an oversupply of milk. So when my milk came in, my little baby could not eat enough if he tried to empty it out. I was getting 4 ounces of colostrum. I don't know, it was just a lot. I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse, do not get me wrong. I know it's a blessing, but it's also a curse. The Hakka was super helpful because I had got mastitis twice, back to back. It was a whole thing. I wasn't able to empty out my milk all the way. Got a clogged duct, got infected. Medication the first round worked while I was taking it, but the second I stopped taking it, it came back immediately. Started taking medicine again, had a super bad allergic reaction to that medicine, so I had to get a different medicine, and then after that one, it finally was gone and cleared up. But what I learned in the process was that using an actual pump, because that's what my doctor told me to do when I got the mastitis. They said, go get a pump, make sure you're pumping as frequently as possible, staying as empty as possible. What I failed to realize was that when you use a pump, it simulates a baby nursing. So it tells your body to produce more. So if you are pumping till you are empty, your body thinks that the baby ate and the baby needs more. Your body's empty, it needs to produce more, so it will produce more. So when I was using an actual like electric pump, I was making my problem worse because I was, yes, emptying myself to help try to relieve clogs, but I was also making myself produce more. So it was this never-ending cycle of like upping my supply that I just like couldn't get a control of. So what I like about the Hakka is that it relieves engorgement and empties you out almost. It empties you enough to not be engorged and not be in pain and to help clear out clogs, but it doesn't simulate a baby nursing, so it doesn't tell your body to produce more. So this is a super, super good way to empty out or clear clogs without producing more if you have an oversupply issue. It can also be helpful even if you don't have an oversupply. Anybody can get clogs, and it's very helpful with that because you can put warm water and Epsom salt in it and it kind of sucks the clog out, or just using this as its own can also help get the clog out. The way that you use it, you basically take it, you squeeze it. We're gonna pretend that this is my boob, okay? You take it, you squeeze it, you put it on the boob, on the nipple, and then you release, and that puts a suction, and so the suction is like constantly pulling, but it's not like a goosh, goosh, goosh like a baby nursing. Does that make any sense? You suction it on there, and then you can either just leave it and let your milk just drip into it at its own pace, because it will do that, or you can also hand express into it. I've done that before. A lot of people like to use it while nursing the baby, so you nurse the baby on one side and put the Hakka on the other, and that's also super effective. There's a lot of different ways you can use this. That's another reason that I highly recommend it, because it's just beneficial for so many different things. Definitely get a Hakka. And then the last thing that I have is a water bottle, more specifically with a straw. The one that I use is the one that the hospital gave me. Water is so important postpartum for your body to heal, for your milk to be producing. When I was at the very end of my 3rd trimester, I was drinking so much freaking water because I was having irritation contractions from being dehydrated. Had to go to the hospital one night. They were like, you need to drink more water, so I started drinking a shit ton more water. And then when I gave birth, afterwards, I like didn't touch water for way too long, and I was just noticing my body like not doing well, going from having that much water to less than half of what I was taking in prior. You definitely want to make sure that you have a water bottle that you love, that makes it easy to drink water. I like straws. It makes it way easier to drink water for me. I hate water. Water's fucking gross and you can't change my mind. Yeah, so the water bottle from the hospital was super good. I have to drink it with a shit ton of ice, but water is so important, and it's one of those things you just don't think about and it slips your mind, but water is very much so a postpartum essential. That's pretty much my list. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you could not have lived without during your postpartum experience. experience. Always, always, always leave comments of any videos you'd like to see from me. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you do leave a like and subscribe. I have new videos every single Saturday, and then occasionally I'm gonna start adding in some vlogs along the way as well, but you can 100% count on every single Saturday at noon Central Time. I think that is it. I love you guys so much. Make sure you're following me on Instagram, following me on TikTok, so you can keep up in between videos, and I'll see you next week.